All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the May 25th, 2025 iteration of the Kubernetes SIG-Windows community meeting. These meetings are recorded and uploaded to YouTube, so be sure to adhere to the CNCF code of conduct. Let's get started. I don't think, only announcement is I think that the CFP deadline is today, and I did see there's an official mail about 134 enhancements and or the 134 release. I'm pretty sure I saw that the enhancement freeze is on June 20th, but I may be off by a week. And the PRR review deadline is June 12th. So that's 3 weeks from now, a little bit over 3 weeks for enhancement to get all the enhancements in. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to announce? Nope. Okay, next, I think usually give some space if there's any new contributors that want to introduce themselves or say hi or is interested in what the SIG is doing. So I'll pause for a minute. If anybody's interested, just feel free to raise your hand or just talk. I believe I'm familiar with everybody on the call. All right, I think so before we started the recording, there were some discussions about some VM crash or like crashes on certain VM sizes. I think particularly Xenon processors. So let me, Lynn, do you want to restate kind of what you were talking
Yeah,
about and we can maybe
yeah,
discuss?
I'm happy to. So over the weekend, at least there are two customer reported issue that brings to our attention. They are all related to customer running their Windows container workload on a newer version of the VM SKU. Um, the two cases in particular, one is running on a V5 VM, one is on a V6. Both of them are Intel Xenon processor. What they have observed is their workflow is very unstable. Some of their cube system pods got randomly went into a bad state, and they eventually traced down to kubelet crashes. Um, the customer has done some initial investigation, and they believe that it could be related to, for their particular case, the config map that they use contains some Windows specific UNC file path and some PowerShell scripts. And the crash looks to be related to, at least the error message is pointing to invalid memory access, 0x5555. The workaround looks to be just went back to an older version of the VM, particularly V4 VM in this case, that the customer no longer seeing the similar issue. So the suspicion is maybe related with how memory management is done on the newer Intel processors, but a lot of them are speculating. So I brought this here a few minutes right prior to this meeting, and it looks like this may be a resurfacing of some of the earlier issues that have been discussed maybe weeks ago or months ago. That's what I have.
Okay, yep, that's really interesting. Did the customers say they could use the same SKUs without their special config maps? I'm curious about that. And I also see Claudio. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it did not specifically say that. Yeah, that's an interesting question to ask. No, they did not say anything related to removing the path will result to a success case on the V6 or V5 VM. They just said that the same workload running very well on V4. Maybe removing that path is not a viable solution for them, but there's no mention that that has been tried.
Yeah, I'm checking to see. I know, like, I'm checking to see. We don't do a lot of different testing in the Windows CI jobs on Azure to test different SKUs, but I'm trying to see
Mm.
which SKU we use. I thought it was a D for SV5s, but I may be wrong.
I
But
see
yeah,
a
go.
hands raising up.
Yeah,
Claudio?
yeah, thanks. Um, so it would be a bit weird if only the config map was at
Mm.
fault, because then we would
Mhm.
see this issue in other cases as well, not just that instance with that generation of Intel. Now, mm, I have a kind of a small question. Do you know what kind of generation of Intel processors are being used? Because, for example, there are a lot of issues reported online for generation 13 and 14 with CPU instability. If you just
Mm.
search on Google for
Yeah.
Intel Core 13 and 14 generation, you will see a lot of reports for instability.
Yeah,
So,
I have some information about the Intel processor type for these two cases customer issue. One is the Intel Xenon Platinum 8473C, Intel
Yep.
64 Family 6 Model 143, Stepping 8. The other one is Intel Xenon Platinum 8573C, Intel 64 Family 6 Model 207, Stepping 2.
okay. Uh, don't necessarily see any reported issues with that on
Mm.
Google, but it's not impossible, since this previously happened.
Yeah. Are those the same processor types that we're seeing on the same issues on the CSI driver issues on AWS?
Yeah, like so, processors are fourth generation, 84, 88C. I posted in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm really surprised that this would cause crashes here unless there's something like some instability, like I think Claudio's alluding to.
Uh,
Yeah, Lynn, if you would like, we could probably try updating the Windows SKUs that we use for one of the Windows test passes. We should even be able to test that in like a pull request job to not mess up the other ones and see if we can catch anything in our CI with that. Um, I know that there's some. I think all of the like config map related tests are shared between Windows and Linux, just to make sure that all the different basic functionality works. I don't know if we have any that are specific to, like that would have Windows UNC paths or anything
Mm.
else.
Mm.
Um,
But yeah, I like that idea that if I can upgrade at least some of the tests to use most the newer version of the VM skills and see if we are seeing anything. If we don't see anything, um, then maybe it is something related to the UNC path. Um,
yeah, there's environment variable that we can set. It's documented in the Windows testing repository by the capz ede or run capz ede. Um, script. I think it's node machine type or node machine size that we could
Mm.
set to probably D4 as V5, but
Actually, I have one question. Like, are you able to reproduce this internally consistently or not? This crash?
This is so new to us that I think we haven't spent too much time on it.
Mm.
But what I heard so far is the team who is working on these ICMs or incidents, they have not had a local repro,
Okay.
but they were not using the exact same config map that the customer is using.
Okay.
So it's hard to say. So it's not a apple to apple comparison.
All right. Like for
and
us,
do we have the full kubelet logs or like I get ETW logs from the customers that are reporting this?
I don't think they have ETW log. They have kubelet log. They have kubectl
Okay.
log, but I have not seen a ETW log from those reported incidents yet.
Yeah, that may be interesting and helpful. Yeah, I think maybe probably next steps are being able to get a repro. Like we can try running it in the testing that we have set up and see if anything
Mm.
comes out, and if not, probably would need to get either a repo or better like logs to figure
Hmm.
out what's actually going on.
Yeah, Mark, you probably can ping me offline what exactly log that you're looking for, because I know that the Kubernetes team who is working on these incidents are trying to either locally repro or get a hold of their customer to try to get more diagnostic information. So if you know what exactly log would be helpful, then I can pass that down to
I didn't
them.
have anything specific in mind, but I thought in AKS on the nodes
Mhm.
there is a script that, well, at least was
Yep,
maintained
yep,
a
yeah, they do
while.
have a PowerShell scripts and that grab tons of logs.
Okay, yeah, and I forgot exactly what logs it grabs, but I think it at least grabs like system and application logs from ETW and kubelet and container, well, and things that are relevant. So sometimes just poking around in there can help. Yeah. Okay, yep, that's interesting. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to discuss today?
I posted in chat some links. Apparently, there were some delays and issues observed with that type of processor, and Intel posted an errata for all sorts of issues observed with that type of processor. The list is quite long, so I didn't necessarily see something that might be related, but you know, it might be something there. There are quite a few things related to memory there as well.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
so I don't know.
Thanks for the link, Claudio.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like just going back to the V4 SKUs is at least an okay mitigation right now for the customers, but this is really interesting what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. This post looks like it dated back in 2023.
Yeah,
So it's been 2 years. So hopefully, whatever that was an issue should be addressed by now. But
or the hardware pulled.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I have a question. Like earlier, you were mentioning that there is one environment variable. Like, what is that environment variable, and like, will that help us in any way in this? You like in this situation or in this scenario?
Let me double check. So here's the Windows testing repository. Nope. Can't see. So in the capz templates that we use, we have, where is it, node machine type. That we can set. And I did check, and it looks like we're using V3s by default. Let me double, yeah, so I just,
I thought you were referring to environment variable for kubelet, where kubelet will start behaving differently in.
oh, no, this is an environment variable that can be set when we provision the clusters for the EDE tests that pick which node size we use in Azure. So we can at least run all of the same tests that we run in the EDE tests
Hmm.
with this node type. So yeah, it looks like we default to D4SV3, but we should be able to set this in the prow config and then provision D4SV5 machines
Hmm.
to at least see if that's one way to get a repro of the issue.
Sounds good. Do we have test for SMB or any CSI driver as well? Please run those as well if possible.
I don't think that we have any in the main EDE tests. There might be some in the... Yeah, I need to check. James, do you remember, or Claudio, do we have the CSI driver tests? I know we have I know we have
We have
unit
the
tests.
Azure CSI tests running.
Oh yeah,
They're in a periodic. I don't know if we have them on the PR, but it should be something that could be set up.
we do have where yeah, so yeah, we do have Azure Disk CSI and this, I don't know. Wait, that's a whole. We switched everything. Yeah, so something's running, but
I dropped the link to the one that I was monitoring.
is this actually running? I don't see any test cases in there.
Yes, it does. It
Okay,
doesn't
yeah, it is.
like split them out to XML files so they don't show up. Yeah.
Oh, we could probably update that so that where's and the JUnit files?
Yeah, those are I think that's what's missing to split them out.
Yeah. Okay. So possibly we can update one of these to use the new tests or new VM generation as well. Yeah, okay, yeah, I do see it actually doing like disk provisioning and things. And we should have one for Azure File too. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we can continue to look at this and see
Yeah.
if
The
there's
the one
anything.
thing I would just
Oh, go
mention
ahead.
about the CSI drivers is the CSI driver test is that they can be very unique across the actual drivers. So for instance, we added this after we had the regression in 131, I think it was, where GC reported an issue with the CSI drivers. Unfortunately, we wouldn't have caught it even with these tests running because Azure uses a different set of APIs than the GCE. So I don't know if AWS, they might, if you're running into problems, it might be a different API that you're using or different,
Yeah.
like, so it just, like, even if we get it passing with Azure, it may be that it may not work with the set of APIs that AWS is using, just FYI.
Yeah, true. I mean, that is possible. Sure, we'll keep that in mind. Thanks.
Does anybody have anything else to discuss on this meeting? No, I think we can probably end it and get a little bit of time back, and then go a couple different routes, including running the tests with the new VM generation. All right. I'm going to stop the recording then. Give everybody a couple minutes back. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.